And welcome to another Pike and Shot battle. Here we have my Russians versus Dobri's Poles. And these are the coinciding with the late 30 Years' War lists, although I don't believe either was actually involved in the 30 Years' War. We don't have the Army preview button as in Field of Glory 2, of course, but I have a pretty good idea of what I'll be facing in the Polish list. So, having hosted the battle, I believe I will be deploying down here. It's a pretty nice, flat, open battlefield. Good cavalry country. Both armies have good cavalry. The Poles rely on three types of cavalry: bow and sword armed light cavalry, carbine and pistol armed shooting cavalry, and winged hussars, which are superior impact horse, and I have nothing that can stand against them in the open, or at least no cavalry. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to fight them. The forest is good for medium foot if we want to utilize it, or we could try to kind of line up in the open. The Poles also have good medium foot themselves. The Haiduks are above average musket swordsmen. Musket cancels out armor, even melee, and swordsman has no impact POA, but is 100 in melee. Heavy weapon is 100 impact against infantry and 100 in melee. So with that in mind, I think I will max out on my pike and shot and my raw pike and shot. The latter can be used at least against cavalry. Cossacks are light horse, lance, and bow. These guys are great, and I'm going to max out on them as well. I start with one medium guns. I don't believe I'll bother with the light guns. So now we need to consider our cavalry. So the boyars are superior in bow, but swordsman capability is at 0 POA against steady melee pistols. So yeah, on the other hand, my only melee pistols are average quality horse, or arquebusiers, which are garbage. So maybe I'll change my mind and grab the light guns anyway. And then, do I want the Streltsy? 5 units to fill the force? Let's go heavy on the Streltsy and boyars. We'll have to hope for disruptions. Disrupted melee pistols are going to be at negative 100 POA, along, of course, being disrupted against these guys, or disordered, although there's not too much rough for me to work with. Okay. Alright, deployment. I think that is a perfectly respectable spot for our light cavalry. And our Bardiche armed musketeers in the forest. One unit occupying the rough, and maybe a second available to try and push into this rough or this rough, depending. That might be a bit of a stretch. We'll try for it. We'll bring some artillery support. And I think actually more artillery support to the flank against the cavalry, because that's where we're going to have trouble. And pike and shot. We'll have some reserve pike and shot and more to push to the flank. Okay, what do we do with our own non-light cavalry? I think they'll just push the flank as well. Their goal will be maybe to get into this rough ground on the slope. Impact horse needs open ground to work, and melee pistol also needs to be in the open against swordsmen. So if we can make it here with some distraction from the Cossacks, we might be able to do something. I'll keep one unit of horse in reserve in case something moves over here, but I'm not as worried about that. So yeah, that should do. It's also an odd little feature. You can do this. The game was clearly not meant to be played this way, but you know, I think it's pretty good looking for a war game. Okay. Right then, let's see his deployment. Lots of light cavalry, lots of shooty cavalry, and 3 units of winged hussars. Okay, it looks like we will not have time to push out here. In fact, we might want to withdraw this unit to this rough ground here. We'll do that and get this raw pack and shot unit prepared to push over to the flank and withdraw our Cossacks to the support of the Russian cavalry. There might be something lurking in there, but if there isn't, we'll have considerable superiority in infantry. It might be wise to keep them hidden until the enemy gets closer. He's screening his hussars, so I can only shoot at the other cavalry. And I'll send all of our raw pike and shot over. This horse can cover this gap, and then they can either charge this shooty horse, or if these Heidiks get close enough, charge them as they lack pikes. And that's good for now. Next turn. Okay, we will shield our guns from his light cavalry after we get one more shot in. See how far he's willing to push this light cavalry. Our Cossacks have lances, so we should actually be able to win this fight. I'm just kind of curious if he can come down off this high ground. As they get closer, we can pop out and try to wrap around. Next turn. Oh, okay, so he's calling my bluff with my lights, so I'll need to push up in support of my infantry. Might lose some raw pike and shot, but that's okay. They're kind of garbage units anyway. I'm not turning these because I don't want to open them up to a charge. If he sits there, then we'll push, but in the meantime, I would prefer to wait. Hopefully my men hold their fire. Might need to turn these around, but it's worth seeing how far these push over. Next turn. Very dangerous. Alright, we can start by neutralizing these hussars. And put some harassment on the winged hussars. They're really more important than anything else, and of course, they're highly superior. And a brave man is killed just as easily by an arrow as a coward. Get ready to good. Plug the gap that opens when this unit is broken, as I think is likely to happen. Well, hedge our bets. We can go either way. I am willing to risk getting charged by these hussars and Cossacks in order to push the infantry line out. Good. Now we bring in the horsemen. Good start. Things can still get dangerous for this block of pike and shot units, but even if they do, we have some reserves to fill the gaps. And of course, another danger is this massive non-light cavalry with only raw units to stop them. We do again have a reserve in place though. I'm concerned for this unit. Pass their checks for now, but they're just going to auto brake soon anyway. Good. Also good, his cavalry is just getting pulled away. They can't really catch my Cossacks anyway. Or do I fire? Alright, we have zone of control locked this unit, so we can charge. He might make my men evade off the map, but that doesn't cost any route percent in pike and shot, so that would not be a big deal. So if we weaken them and delay them, that's good enough. Next turn. This unit will break. And the question is, how far will the panic spread? There we go. Ooh. Well, could be worse. Ouch. Yeah, they'll hopefully come back eventually. Okay, our right wing is just on a roll. Although our cavalry might end up charging this raw pike and shot and getting hit in the flank. Oh well. Oh, wait, no, we can protect them. Right, so this is interesting. In melee, we can see swordsmen plus 100. If this unit was steady, it would be plus 100 in their favor, but melee pistols lose their bonus when unsteady. And we'll keep this unit faced this way to protect the flank from the hussars. Okay, then what? Is that worth it? Probably 4. So they have no impact capability, and we have lances, but they have pistols, and we only have swords. So we can only hope that the impact is in our favor. It is, but they fall back. Let's push out of the charge arc and keep harassing. Very good. Turn these guns and we can throw away this cavalry now. A 1-for-1 exchange is fine with me, honestly. If we break this unit, pursue and get hit in the flank, oh well. Winged hussars are much more expensive than Russian cavalry, so if we waste their time, it's a win. I was hoping to disrupt them, but that's fine. They would be disordered charging into the rough, which is the same as disruption in terms of effect on combat value. We'll keep holding this cavalry in reserve until we need to throw them in. Next turn. just as well. I'd rather have them available to do something else. All right. No disruption. There we go. Good. Just keep being annoying. Evade. And we failed to catch them, although... Good. Can we... Yes, and... Yes. And a disruption. Good. See if we might not catch this unit. Very good. So one thing that's interesting is that oh wait, no, I lied. With the swordsman skill, it unlocks versus mixed pike and shot units if they are not steady, but heavy weapon, apparently not. Not that it matters, they're fragged, so off they go. Right, just these 2 units left. Do I move? No, they're fine sitting in the rough ground to counter the impact mounted ability of the winged hussars. There's really no need to expose ourselves here at all. We just need to hold here and just keep rolling up this flank. That's it. Next turn. Ouch. Interesting choice. I guess it was that or get shot up. That should push us over the 40% for the win. Even if there's rally or something, which I think it's my turn to rally anyway, we would break these hussars this turn. Okay, so that's game over at 47-7. What happened? I think my opponent advanced too quickly on the left compared to the right. I think he should have pushed hard on the right and held back on his left, because all of his good cavalry was on the right, and my not terribly good cavalry was on my left. If he could have found a way to fight my cavalry or disrupt my raw pike and shot and charge in, he could have done some serious damage, and I would have had to come out of the forest. I also think it would have been good if he'd kept maybe a couple of non-light cavalry in reserve, so that once I emerged, he could have shifted them over and charged. So these musketeers with heavy weapon confers no impact POA against cavalry, and being medium foot, they suffer extra cohesion malices for losing to cavalry. So a couple of cavalry units really could have ruined my day once I emerge out of the forest here. That being said, I think a Russian army on the defensive, well handled, is going to be difficult to break with the Poles because the Poles are so dependent on cavalry, and the Russians have a perfectly acceptable infantry line. And although their cavalry cannot successfully operate in the open against the Poles because they only have swordsmen POA and bows instead of any impact POA, if they're chilling in the rough, they're still a threat. They can still shoot, and they're perfectly safe from impact horse ability and melee pistol ability. So I wonder how I would do with this matchup reversed, but there are no mirror matches, so we'll find out at some point in the future. And a good game to my opponent. Till next time.